Good evening. I would like to call to order the East China School District Regular Board of Education meeting for Monday, January 25th, 2021. If we could please stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, I would like to administer the ceremonial oath of office to all of the board members. So if you could, board members, if you could please remain seated, but raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
I solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution of this state.
And the Constitution of the state.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office.
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
Of member of the Board of Education of East China School District.
Of member of the Board of Education
of East China School District.
According to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my ability.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
At each January regular Board of Education meeting, the offices of the Board of Education are filled. At this time, may I please have a nomination for the office of School Board President?
I will nominate Jeannie Frank for the position of President of the School Board.
So moved by Trustee Todd Disserath. May I please have a second for the nomination?
I support.
Supported and seconded by Karen Cedar. Are there any other nominations? Okay, hearing none. Is there any discussion? All right. All those in favor of this nomination, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, use the same sign. The motion carries. Congratulations, President Frank. You are now in charge.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Fabiola. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to thank all the board members again for your dedication and service to the district. At this time, I would like to ask for nominations for the position of Vice President.
Good evening. I'd like to nominate Pat Biebuck for the position.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Support.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of Mrs. Pat Biebuck for Vice President, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, congratulations, Mrs. Biebuck. Our next office is Treasurer, and I would like to nominate Karen Cedar as our Treasurer.
Support.
Are there any other nominations for Treasurer? Hearing none. All in favor of Karen Cedar as Treasurer, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Congratulations, Mrs. Cedar.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to open for nominations for Secretary.
I'd like to nominate Lynn Griefor for Secretary.
Support.
Are there any other nominations for Secretary? Hearing none. All in favor of Mrs. Griefor for Secretary, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, congratulations, Mrs. Griefor. Okay, we'll move right along then to items of interest, recognition, and inquiry. Any Board of Education members have anything they'd like to share this evening?
I'd just like to say congratulations to the Marine City football team who played a couple weeks ago. They played their hearts out. Unfortunately, they came up short against Frankenmuth. And then I would just like to thank all the teachers, the students, all the support staffs, because I'm sure I'll forget somebody if I start naming individual groups. So just everybody that made the in-person learning possible for the elementary and the secondary. So hopefully we can continue on until June.
Anybody else?
I just want to remind everybody that the annual Chili Fest 5K is coming up in February, fundraiser for the East China Education Association. It's virtual this year, but the money still helps the school district. So I encourage people to sign up.
So Todd, what does that look like being virtual?
You know, I haven't done a virtual one myself, but my understanding is, and all the directions are available online when you register.
Okay.
But you agree to run within a certain time period, and then you record your scores or report your time. And you know, everyone who participates, I think, still gets a medal, and so it's a lot of the same things, but a little different. You're running on your own.
Not on our method. Thank you. Anybody else?
I just want to give a shout out to those sponsors that are doing the chili cook-off. We have a lot of sponsors and I really appreciate that.
Anybody else? Okay, Mrs. Fabula?
Yes, thank you. I would like to use my items of interest and inquiry to recognize the board members this evening. The governor has declared January 2021 as School Board Member Appreciation Month. We are fortunate in East China School District to have such a dedicated group of individuals to serve as board members in our school district. Our board members serve without compensation and we appreciate their dedication. On behalf of the staff, parents, students, and our community, thank you to each board member for their service. And as our tradition, a book has been donated to each of our media centers in our schools in each of your honors. So I'd like to recognize each of our board members tonight. Jeannie Frank has served on the East China School Board since 2013 for 8 years. Amy Murphy has also served since 2013 for 8 years. Todd Dithrath has served since 2015 for 6 years. Pat Bebuck has served since 2015 for 6 years. Lynn Griefor has served since 2017 for 4 years. Karen Cedar has served since 2019 for 2 years. And Michael Westrick has also served since 2019 for 2 years. Thank you again for your service and your dedication to all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that was number 4 and number 5. So we'll move on down to number 6, our consent agenda. A motion is needed for the approval of the minutes from our regular Board of Education meeting on December 14th, 2020. The approval of payment of bills, the financial statement, schedule of investments, appointment of new teachers, and the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to establish employment conditions and a contract for the Director of Finance, Angie Gleason.
So moved.
Support.
Is there any discussion? Any questions? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that motion carries. We'll move on now to our recognition of persons wishing to address the board. And I understand we have one phone-in participant this evening. Mrs. Terry Mullane, are you on the line, Terry?
Hello?
There she is. Hi, Terry.
Hi there, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me. Terry Mullane on behalf of the East China Education Association. I know Craig's trying to keep the meeting short, so I will be quick, but I did want to take a minute to, I did want to take a minute to just thank our school board for all that they do on behalf of the teachers, the students, the parents, the community. It's always a tough job, but particularly the last year has been very challenging, and we appreciate all the time and thoughtfulness you put into your job. So I just wanted to say thank you and have a great night.
Thank you. Okay, so we will move on into our information discussion items. First up on that is the bond update, Mrs. Saibula.
Yes, thank you. I have a brief update and just a couple slides that I want to share with you regarding the work, the initial work that's going to begin tentatively in April of this year, which surprisingly is right around the corner. The very first work, Craig, if you could switch to the next slide. There's an outline. This is the Meisner site location, and there's some shaded areas. The light blue indicates the work that I'm going to review tonight. The darker red or pink areas are the parking lots that will be addressed at a later date. And then the green is the Early Childhood Center addition. And then if you can see it, there's some yellow in there, and that's the Innovation Center. But for tonight's update, I'm going to focus on those light blue areas that are shaded that indicates where the stadium work, the parking lot, and the new access road to King is going to be built. So on the next slide, the stadium work, the scope of this work that will tentatively begin on April 1st of this year includes our concession area, the bathrooms, the team rooms, which are the locker rooms underneath the stands, the entrance to the stadium, and that new access road to King. In each of these areas of work that are listed, all the fixtures, the sinks, the toilets, the partitions, the flooring, the lighting, and countertops will all be updated and replaced. The exterior and interior surfaces will be painted. There will be new shingles replaced on that concession stand and restroom building that you see when you enter. All the flooring surfaces will be redone. And in our team locker rooms, the flooring will have color speckles integrated into the flooring to reflect the school colors that use that team room as their home locker room. So Marine City's team room will have orange and black flecks in its flooring, and the St. Clair room will have red and blue flecks in their flooring. Another feature that will be updated is our entrance will be renovated with lighting, fencing, and signage. One of the things that when you enter our stadium right now, it tends to be a little bit dark. So we're going to be replacing all of the light fixtures with LED that are underneath in that ceiling to provide a nice lit entrance as you come in. And Craig, if you could show, this is my last slide to present tonight. Oh, I'm sorry, there's one more. The lit entrance will provide safety and security and just a real focal point as we come in. For the King Road, though, I wanted to point out, or the King Road access, I wanted to point out that it's roughly about 1,500 feet long, which is about a third of a mile. It will be a lit road. The road is asphalt with a gravel shoulder. And all of the asphalt that was in that light blue area that I showed on a previous slide is scheduled to get at minimum a new wearing course where the top 1 to 1.5 inches of asphalt is redone. But much of our lots are going to be complete replacements. That was a lot of the cost and the work and in all of our buildings was this concrete work, this parking lot work that needed to be done. So then, and to my last slide for tonight, I just wanted to share with you, this is a very new rendering that was received yesterday that will show, this is the entrance. If you can visualize, on the left side is the ticket booth window. So just in front of that 4 feet in front will be this nice stadium entrance sign where it will say East China Stadium. Those pillars are brick that will match our PAC and Innovation Center. We're going to tie it all together. And then those squares that you see in the pillars will be lit. So adding another lighted feature. But underneath, it's not in this particular photo, or in drawing, but underneath, when you walk into our entrance, all of those lights are going to be replaced. So it'll be well lit and a very nice entry. And then the fencing that you see there is wrought iron fencing. So it's very nice, substantial looking entrance for our stadium. So those are the work pieces that are scheduled for April 1st to begin April 1st, and that's what's called the stadium, the scope of the stadium work at the Meisner location. So I just wanted to give you a quick update on that work, and want to take any questions or comments that you may have as we move forward.
Do we have any renderings of the what the concession area will look like?
I don't. We were focused mostly on the stadium entrance, but I can provide that to the board. We do have some drawings. We met with the athletic directors, the principals, the assistant principals, who then talked to their groups and their buildings about how best to use that concession area. And they gave us some advice on what they need for countertop spacing and where they'd rather have moving carts instead of fixed counters. So let me get that together, and I will provide that to the board in an update.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Will they be updating the scoreboard as well?
Yes, but that is outside the scope of the bond work. And Craig Headley, if you want to share the information that you have on this project.
I can. I don't have my video. So we actually been working on this for a little while, but the plan is to put a bid out for a new scoreboard over the next couple months, with the anticipation, as long as equipment is available, to have that installed over the summer and have available for fall sports out at the stadium. So we're pretty excited about that. Working with the athletic directors and coaches, there's a few things to do still, but we're pretty excited.
All of the work, the timeline, and part of the reason that this scope of work is being started first is our first football game for next school year is tentatively slated for August 27th. And we would like this to all be completed in time for that first game. It just so happens that the opening game is Marine City and St. Clair. So we're hoping for a nice community event to open up the stadium.
Yeah, I think that's great. Are there any other questions? Okay,
Great, thank you.
thank you. Did you want to move into the extended continuity of learning plan update?
Sure, thank you. I'll be happy to do that. The Return to Learn legislation requires that every month I provide the school board with an update on our learning modes of instruction, as well as our attendance. In addition to that, the county health department data needs to be included. So on the next slide, our current mode of instruction is face-to-face with 100% virtual option. The most recent health metrics for St. Clair County Health Department as of last Friday, the percent of the positivity rate for our community or positive test is 9.4. That's trending downward over the last 3 weeks. Last week it was 11.3. The week prior to that it was 18. The average number of new cases per day is 26.1. And on the next slide, this is the other required portion of this Return to Learn update, is reporting our two-way interaction rates, which equates to our attendance. And you can see we do have the Christmas break in here, but the week of 12-18 was a 98%, and then 97, 97, 96. We continue to see good attendance both in our virtual and our face-to-face options. And then on the last side, based on those current metrics, our attendance rates, and no evidence of transmission of COVID-19 in any of our school buildings, the current modes of instruction will continue for the next 30 days.
Hey, Suzanne, what
Thank you.
what percentage is face-to-face right now?
About 80%. Which, interestingly enough, was this for second semester, it was very similar to first semester.
Thanks.
Is there any other questions?
Did our staff, are they in line to get vaccines yet?
Yes, they are. We had the first vaccine clinic was held at RISA in Marysville last Friday, and we had 40 of our staff members receive the first dose of the vaccine. This Friday, the county received less than they anticipated in number of vaccines, but we'll be able to have 36 of our staff members receive the vaccine this coming Friday.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll move on into our contract renewals, the MEA ESP.
Thank you. Good evening. If you don't mind, I will take items C, D, and E together. The
Perfect.
first one being the contract for the secretaries, the second D being contract with the custodians, and item E being the contract with the teachers. So we did have contracts that expired, and as you may remember, we extended those contracts through December 31st. So we have met to negotiate agreements with all of the three groups. And essentially what we have done is again extend the contracts. Given COVID and all the variables that come with that, with finances and enrollment, the parties agreed that it would be in the best interest of both parties to continue and extend the contracts, essentially extending the contracts with the renewal. Because the secretaries and the custodians are both on a June 30th renewal, these new contracts will go through June 30th, 2021. We will be negotiating with them starting in February. The teachers are on a slightly different timeline. Their contract actually goes through August 25th. So this contract will go through that same time period, but again, starting to negotiate in February, when hopefully we have a little better idea of what our enrollment and what our finances will look like after, the pandemic is a little subsided by then and by the time we get through the spring months. So essentially, as I said, they're all just going to be extended with the new contract dates through the end of this fiscal year for the two in August for the teachers. But on behalf of myself and I'm sure the rest of the administration, I do want to commend all of our employee groups for their cooperation through the negotiations and everything that they have done to support our movement toward in-person learning and what they've done to accomplish what's in the best interest of our students throughout all of this. And I think the extension of these contracts does show again their effort on doing what is best for our students. And I'll be happy to answer questions as far as any three of those groups. And each of these items are scheduled for approval later on in the agenda.
Pat, if you're trying to speak, you're on mute.
Don, I just have a question. When are the bus driver contract? Is that one still extended? Did we do that last year?
That is through next year.
Okay.
That'll expire. They do have a wage reopener for this coming fiscal year, but the contract itself does not expire until next June.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Nope.
All right, thank you, Dawn.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll move on to item 9. These are our board action agenda items. We have quite a few, so please bear with me. The first one is the adoption of the 2020-21 General Fund Cafeteria Latchkey Student Activity Budget. Per administration's recommendation, the board adopts the 2020-21 General Fund Cafeteria Latchkey Student Activity Budget at the function level as revised and presented at its December 14th, 2020 meeting. A motion is needed.
So moved.
Support.
Do we get a support?
Mike Yeah. did.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, the motion carries. Our next action item is per administration's recommendation. the board approves the MSBO bid Build-A-Bus for 3 8889 passenger transit bus purchases as listed above to Midwest in the lowest cost responsible bid amount of $323,307. A motion is needed.
Support.
Any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Our next motion is per administration's recommendation. The board approves the Neola Board Policies Update, Title 11, presented at its December 14th, 2020 meeting. A motion is needed.
So moved.
Support.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that motion carries. Our next item is per administration's recommendation. The board approves the adoption of the resolution for the purchase agreement presented at its January 20th, 2021 special meeting between the East China School District and the St. Clair County Land Bank to purchase real property commonly known as Eddy Elementary School, which is located at 301 North Ninth Street in St. Clair, and also commonly known as Gearing Elementary, located at 200 North Kearney Street in St. Clair, together with adjoining vacant land for the purchase price of $150,000. A motion is needed.
So moved.
Support.
Any comments or questions?
I just have one quick point of clarification.
Sure.
So the sale of the properties is between the school district and the land bank. And once that is executed, if something were to fall through with the developer that they're talking to or anything else, I would assume that we're not involved in that because we've already sold the property.
Mr. Van Weerden, did you want to respond to that, please?
Sure, I'd be happy to clarify. The purchase agreement provides for a due diligence period of 90 days. Within that time period, if the land bank is not satisfied, they could terminate the purchase agreement. But once the property transaction closes, then it is done. The school district is going to enter into a net lease agreement with the land bank for Gearing Elementary. But otherwise, the property, like any property transaction, once it closes, the property has been transferred, and there's it's between the land bank and any potential purchaser after that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Good question. Any other questions? Everybody's all set? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Our next item is per administration's recommendation. The board approves the contract agreement for the period of January 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2021 between the Board of Education of the East China School District and the East China Education Support Personnel Association. A motion is needed.
So move.
Support.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, that motion carries. Next item is per administration's recommendation, the board approves the contract agreement for the period of January 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2021 between the Board of Education of the East China School District and the SEIU Local 517M, which is the custodians union. The motion is needed.
So moved.
Support.
Any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Our last item is per administration's recommendation. The board approves the contract for the period of January 1st, 2021 through August 25th, 2021 between the Board of Education of the East China School District and the East China Education Association. A motion is needed.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, any comments or questions?
I will be abstaining from the vote.
Okay, Mrs. Krantz, can you please note that?
Yes, President Frank.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, that motion carries. So that wraps up this evening's meeting and our action items. The items on our next regular board meeting right now are scheduled to be the ECEF grant awards. And at this time, again, I'd like to thank everybody for their service and also like to thank Mr. Van Weerden for being with us again this evening, and we would stand adjourned. Thank you.